Welcome to your Aerial Work Platform Operator Training Program. This program is intended to help you develop safe operating practices when using scissor lifts, self-propelled booms, portable work platforms, trailer-mounted booms, and self-propelled vertical lifts. This operator training presentation should be used with a participant's guide, which you should have received from a course trainer. The operator training is designed to be general in nature, since it covers safe operating principles and practices for aerial platforms. Once you have completed this program, you don't have to retake this course again to operate a different type of aerial platform. All you need is familiarization on the specific aerial platform from a qualified person. Complete information on the specific model that you plan to operate can be found in the operator's manual that is always stored on the machine. Always read and follow the appropriate operator's manual for the aerial platform you are learning to operate. Should you have any questions or find you don't fully understand any subject covered in this presentation, please discuss them with your trainer. We've divided this video into 4 sections. Section 1 deals with the responsibilities of all parties associated with the operation of aerial platforms. Section 2 deals with learning how to identify and avoid safety hazards. In Section 3, we discuss the 5 key concepts of safe machine operation. And finally, in Section 4, we'll review what you need to do for your proficiency demonstration to become a qualified aerial platform operator. Standards organizations worldwide are calling for clear training on who is responsible for what when operating aerial work platforms. In the United States and Canada, the standards are established by ANSI and CSA committees respectively and enforced by OSHA in the USA and provincial authorities in Canada. In Europe, CE approval is required for aerial platforms and training varies by country. It is generally offered in compliance with national regulatory requirements. Each aerial platform that is shipped within the United States or Canada is supplied with a copy of the Manual of Responsibilities, which details the responsibilities of dealers, owners, users, operators, lessors, lessees, and brokers. The Manual of Responsibilities for each type of aerial platform is taken directly from the applicable ANSI standard and instructs each of the entities of their obligation. To begin, manufacturers are responsible for designing equipment that meets these recognized standards. The manufacturer also has the responsibility to provide operational and maintenance instructions and to identify potential hazards associated with operating or repairing the machine. The dealer, who may rent or sell aerial platforms, should make sure the machines they provide are properly maintained and ready for use. The dealer is also responsible for offering appropriate training and familiarization regarding proper machine operation and safety. The owner of an aerial platform could be the dealer in a rental situation or may have the responsibility of a user if they are directing operators to operate an aerial platform. It is the owner's responsibility to make sure that the manufacturer's, operators, and other safety manuals are in good condition and stored on the machine. And, just like a dealer, the owner must properly maintain the machine to the manufacturer's specifications. The owner should always ensure that any personnel that they direct or authorize to use an aerial platform has received appropriate training and familiarization. The user, by definition, is the person or persons in the position of directing operators to use aerial platforms in their work. Quite often, this is a company, an institution, or another type of organization. Like an owner, the user must provide appropriate training and familiarization, and make sure that the operators and safety manuals supplied by the manufacturer are in good condition and stored on the machine. The user is responsible for only allowing trained, qualified, and authorized personnel to operate an aerial platform. The operator is the person who actually performs work using an aerial platform. It is the operator's responsibility to check that the operators and safety manuals are stored on the machine and are always read and understood before operation. The operator is responsible for operating the aerial platform within the limits of intended use as defined by the manufacturer in the operator's manual and job site and government regulations. This includes avoiding hazardous situations, performing a visual pre-operation inspection, performing comprehensive function tests prior to use, performing a workplace inspection, and only using the machine as the manufacturer intended. The operator is responsible for reporting any problems or malfunctions that occur before or during operation. In addition to these important standards, operators are subject to specific local, regional, and national workplace rules and regulations. So please check with the appropriate safety organizations for specific information that would apply to you. Along with the operator's manual, copies of the AEM Safety Manual and ANSI Manual of Responsibilities are included with every machine shipped in the United States and Canada. These manuals and any other safety manuals provided by the manufacturer are considered a permanent part of your machine and should remain with the machine at all times. Consult these manuals when you require specific information for your model of aerial work platform. Now that you know your responsibilities, you need to learn about hazards you may encounter while operating any type of aerial work platform. The focus of this section is to help you learn how to identify hazards so you can protect yourself and others from injury in the workplace. We'll cover 4 categories of hazards that you need to understand and avoid. They are tip over, fall, collision, and electrocution hazards. Common sense and planning are required to determine if your work activity will affect the lift capacity and stability of the machine. Here are some situations to think about and avoid. The machine must not be moved with the platform raised unless it is designed for this purpose. Pushing or pulling on objects outside the platform. Placing ladders or scaffold against the machine. Operating the equipment on unlevel or unstable ground conditions. Bad weather or windy conditions. Unsafe numbers of people or too much weight in the platform. To avoid falling, don't sit, stand, or climb on the platform guardrails. Be sure to always lower the platform entry mid-rail or close the gate before operating. To avoid collisions, you should be aware of how and where the machine is moving. You must first perform a workplace inspection and identify and avoid ground and overhead obstructions. These machines are not electrically insulated. That means there is no protection for the operator, bystanders, or machine from electrical shock as a result of contact or unsafe proximity to power lines or any other electrical charge. Safety information about required clearance from power lines and other electrically charged devices can be found in the operator's manual and on safety signs on the machine. The operation of any aerial work platform is subject to certain hazards that can be protected against only by the exercise of intelligence, care, and common sense, and not by mechanical means. It is essential that operation, maintenance, and service of aerial work platforms is performed only by competent, careful people trained in the intended use, safe operation, maintenance, and service of this type of equipment. Also, be reminded you will find additional hazards listed in the operator's manual. Always read and understand these before operating the machine. There are also more resources on the machine in the form of safety and instructional decals. The safety decals have the safety markings of danger, warning, and caution. The green or blue instructional decals indicate operation or maintenance information. Remember, if you don't follow all safety instructions and exercise safe operating procedures, serious injury or even death could occur. So please, always follow the instructions that the manufacturer has set out for both safety rules and operating instructions. There are 5 key concepts of safe machine operation, all of which you will find outlined in your operator's manual. They are: avoid hazardous situations, always perform a pre-operation inspection, always perform function tests prior to use, inspect the workplace, and only use the machine as it was intended. These principles, if followed in sequence, will help you to operate the aerial work platform safely and efficiently. The first key concept for safe machine operation is knowing how to avoid hazardous situations. Proper training and common sense will help you avoid hazardous situations associated with operating an aerial platform. You must be able to recognize and avoid potential tip-over, fall, collision, and electrocution hazards, as well as any other hazards that may exist. It is critically important before you even get near the work environment or the machine to know what kind of hazards to be looking for. A second key concept for safe machine operation is the pre-operation inspection. This is important because very often you may not know if the machine has been damaged or modified or if it's been properly maintained. This visual inspection is designed to keep the operator out of harm's way by discovering if anything is apparently wrong with the machine before the operator performs the function tests. You're looking for things like modifications, damage, loose or missing parts, and hydraulic or other fluid leaks. Your operator's manual has a complete checklist of items you need to inspect. Let's take a look at a few examples that apply to aerial platforms. Limit switches, platform condition, lift links, pins, and banjo bolts. Swing bearing and rotator bolts. Pothole mechanism. Electrical components. Lift mechanism. Decals. And tires. If the machine checks out, you're ready to perform the function tests, our third key concept for safe machine operation. We do function tests to make sure you can get up and down safely before you go into the work environment. We want to discover any damage, problems, or malfunctions before the machine is put into service. Of course, you have to get up in the air to do your work. But more importantly, if you have a health or safety issue and you need to get down or others need to bring you down, it is vital to verify the machine is operating properly. Before you begin testing functions, select an area that is firm, level, and free of ground and overhead obstructions. Follow the function test sequence outlined in the operator's manual. If a machine fails a test, it must be removed from service, repaired, and re-inspected before it can be placed back into service. Let's take a look at a few examples of function tests that apply to aerial platforms. Outrigger deployment. Outrigger interlocks. Emergency stop. Tilt alarm. Drive function. Lift function. And pothole mechanism deployment. The complete list of function tests is located in your operator's manual. Our fourth key concept for safe machine operation is the workplace inspection. Earlier, we learned how to identify some of the hazards that can be encountered on a job site, such as tip-over, fall, electrocution, and collision hazards. Now, as you move on to the work site, you can see what circumstances will contribute to hazardous situations. If these hazardous situations present themselves, remember, it's your responsibility as an operator to identify and avoid all hazards and report them to your employer so that they can be properly addressed. Keep your eyes open for drop-offs and holes. Floor obstructions and hazardous locations. Overhead obstructions. Electrical conductors. Wind and unsafe weather conditions. Other workplace hazards are listed in the Operators and Responsibilities manuals. There may be others, so always make sure that you have identified all potential hazards and know how to avoid them before moving the aerial platform into the workplace. It is also important to note that you, as an operator, have an obligation to inform the user or owner if a work environment contains even one thing that will prevent you from safely doing your job. The fifth key concept for safe machine operation is to only use the machine as it was intended. The operating instructions section in the operator's manual provides instructions for each aspect of aerial platform operation. It is the operator's responsibility to follow all the safety rules and instructions in the responsibilities and operators' manuals. Aerial platforms are designed to lift people and their tools to overhead work locations. The operator's manual will indicate if the aerial platform can be used to lift materials. Using the machine for anything other than the activity specified in the operator's manual could result in death or serious injury. Only properly trained and authorized personnel should be permitted to operate an aerial platform. If more than one operator is expected to use the aerial platform at different times in the same work shift, they must all be qualified operators, and they are expected to follow all safety rules and instructions in the operator's safety and responsibilities manuals. That means every new operator should perform a pre-operation inspection, function tests, and a workplace inspection prior to each work shift. If you have successfully completed your participant's guide and the written test, you are almost ready to operate an aerial platform. The next step is to read the operator's manual for the specific machine you wish to operate. Then you must operate the machine to demonstrate proficiency in front of a qualified person. Let's review the steps one more time. First, thoroughly read, understand, and follow your operator's manual. Be aware of hazards to look out for and avoid them. Perform a pre-operation inspection on the equipment. Perform the function tests prior to use. Inspect the workplace for unsafe conditions and familiarization. And only use the machine as the manufacturer intended. We know you can succeed, but it's up to you. Good luck, and be safe out there.